Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Stump. I got a fantastic guest with me here today on 100% On, Not In Your Business, where we talk about the transition business owners go through, really getting out of the weeds and working in their business to leveling up, focusing on their business, where they can focus on growing their customer count, growing their revenue, and ultimately achieving the vision that they set forth with their business. Today, I have a very special guest because, focusing on your business is no different than focusing on your mission in life. And that's exactly what Todd is doing with a charitable organization. I'm going to let him talk much more about. Todd McCann is the executive director for Rhythm for You. Todd, welcome today. And maybe just start off first with telling the folks a little bit about you and more about Rhythm for You.
Thank you so much. I've done some work in my past life. When I was younger, I went to school to become a doctor, and I had a lot of caregiving, and my life has been around just giving care and helping and being in service to people. So in 2018, something came to me, and it was a little bit of a calling. It actually was a big calling, and it just said, Todd, you've got this great caring capability. You're a bit of a nerd with understanding sciences and physiological psychology and the brain and the mind. And, oh, by the way, you've got this little metronome in your head. So, and you can play drums. So why don't you do something with it? So I had never done this before. And there's a man by the name of Joseph Campbell, and he has a thing called the Hero's Journey. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's interested, I wrote a little outline about the startup of a nonprofit. And I'd never done this before. So I had to go on a journey and figure things out. I learned a lot about me, patience, fortitude, taking the time to be able to reflect on what I was going to offer and how I was going to be able to present the things that I wanted to do in my life with people. And it's very enriching.
Right. Well, you started that journey and you probably had no idea what like a 501(c) was and how do you go about doing that? So yeah, you absolutely had to learn a lot. How did you go through that experience, kind of just immersing yourself on everything that was needed to bring your vision to life?
Well, I had to get myself centered really fast. Once I got focused on what I needed to do, I didn't make super outlines. I just started kind of flowing through what I needed. I did some research work, understood that you had to make something happen with the state of Texas and represent yourself. And then you actually had to do a name search and some other things. And then you got to go look for a URL and you got to do these things. There's a lot of background infrastructure stuff that you have to go and start to figure out. And then there's a 501(c)(3) filing that you have with the IRS. And then I had to go get a board. I had to go find a board, a volunteer board. And I have a great board. And then I had to find, I wrote the bylaws. So I had to learn how to write bylaws. So in 28 days, put up a nonprofit all the way to the filing.
Wow. So you went from zero, not knowing anything, to 28 days. You had all of that in place, the board, all your qualifications, the bylaws, and you were a functioning 501(c) at that point.
Absolutely. And then the first meeting was to ratify the bylaws.
Uh-huh.
That was our first meeting. And I did go to 1 Million Cups, and I did do a presentation there. And it was really nice to be able to have that kind of interaction with people. And when I was there, I started with I brought drums.
Right.
I brought drums for a few people, and then had people play on their legs and just kind of get into what Rhythm for You is about. Definitely.
Right. Well, your story is not dissimilar to any business owner that is starting up day one. They don't have a facility if it's brick and mortar. They don't have employees. They might have a product. They might have a service. They might have to create that. And then in very short amount of time, they got to get not just all of that operational, but then get to profitability as well. So a very, very similar story. Before we kind of get more into how that journey's evolved over time, maybe tell us a little bit more about what is Rhythm for You and what do you specifically do with the organization?
So being the executive director and kind of it being my child, if you will, because I was born out of, what we do is we have about 45 drums from all around the world. And then we also have percussion instruments. I went to some training with a gentleman, Frank Thompson, and it's Remo Health Rhythms. Now, this was a protocol that was established by Dr. Barry Bittman, and he was a co-founder.
Mhm.
But it was 30 years worth of research work, which is evidence-based. And the protocol is what we employ when we go work with people. So that's what we do. We bring in the drums, that people supply the chairs, that's what we do. Who we serve is, right now it's kind of expanding, kind of because of the COVID thing. That kind of like dropped us down really low with anything happening. I mean, everything came to a standstill. But so we work with seniors in care. That could be independent living, assisted living. We work with memory care and dementia. We have actually been at the Alzheimer's Association here in North Central Tarrant County, or North Central Texas. We also work with compromised health. As people with cancer, they're either having chemotherapy, and there's a lot of anxiety in them, post-coronary patients. And then we also work with the cognitive health community. And that's PTSD. We work with veterans, people that are in depression, people that are bipolar, people that have anger management. It's anything you can find in the DSM. So we go in, and once we get done, I'll tell you, the feedback that we get, it's just, Todd, my life is so much better. I feel so much better. I'm going to walk out of here so much happier and joyous.
Right. Well, there's a lot of science behind the power of music and rhythm. And I mean, we've all experienced it, right? We've had that rough day in the office, but then we get in our car on our way home and that jam comes on the radio, and now you're upbeat and you're singing and you're ready to take on the evening. So that is amazing that you can bring that to those that need it the most. And, the testimonials that they're providing you, telling you how much of a difference you're making in their lives is probably quite fulfilling, I imagine.
It is. I mean, I live from my heart. I do everything from my heart. I learned to do that some time ago, and the work that I do with people, because I'm a natural caregiver. So, and I'm a servant leader. So I just go in and help people. I see them struggling a little bit. I just lend a little bit of a hand. And most of the time, people just pick it right up and they go. I mean, I've had people tell me that they can't play drums. And next thing you know, what, they're playing drums at the end. They're hardcore drummers. They're natural drummers, and they don't even know. It's a hidden talent, just gets exposed.
Yeah, I'm not a natural. My daughter's in band, so every once in a while I'll just get to tapping on something. She goes, "Dad, you got no rhythm whatsoever."
What does she
so I might need some of your help.
Well, we're having we're going up to Salina on June 19th from 3 and 4. It's called Make Music Day. Yeah, and it's with the city, and they asked us and bring drums and just set up for an hour and play with the people that are out there. Kids,
they're off the square there.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful there. So awesome. June 19th in Salina off the square. What time?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay, perfect. Well, we'll be sure to share that out on our social channels as well. So as you've gone through this experience from 0 to 128 days, and now how long has Rhythm for You been around, and you've been kind of operating the organization?
Since October 28th of 2018.
Okay, so almost a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Yeah. So how has that transition from really being in the weeds, working in the business or in the organization, transition, and now you've got to work more on the organization, making sure that you can book events like that? You mentioned a great opportunity with a local school district, and I'm sure that just has required some more work of your part. But how has that transition happened over the last couple of years, and what have you learned about working in the organization versus on the organization?
That's a great question. One of the things I've learned in my life is to make sure that I'm very mindful of the balance, or I should say more so the imbalance.
Yeah.
Whenever I find something that's not in balance, because I love to play, so I'll go out and play in parks and stuff like that, and bring people together, community together. So that's a balancing effort. Plus, I get to practice when I'm there and have fun while I'm doing it. So it's always about having fun. That's a big balance. And then the other piece of the puzzle is to make sure that it's slow and steady, because the tortoise won the race, and timing is everything. And you can push and reach and push too hard on potential clients, but I always just make sure that everybody's okay with what I'm saying. They know who I am. And when the timing happens, then they'll reach out. We're going to be at the Senior Synergy Expo coming up in June as well. We're going to have a table there. That has been postponed a couple of times. So things are starting to open up, and I'm getting a little busy, not frazzled, but things are starting to come. I mean, I'm getting very grateful that things are just coming to me.
Right. That's awesome. Now, do you have other musicians that volunteer and work with you?
I have, yeah, I'll bring that point up in a second, but I do have a friend of mine. It's a woman, and she plays the dunes, which is a African set of drums, and there's 3 drums.
Mm-hmm.
It's really the leading part of any rhythm. So she hasn't accompanied me in Rhythm for You yet, but she's going to start doing that. I do need to train her in the Remo, our health rhythms protocol that we use. But what we've done is we've taken that and we've modified it a little bit to a thing we call rhythm care.
Mm-hmm.
But my board has gotten on me, and it's like, Todd, we need to make more of you. We got to replicate more of you. How do we get you to be a certified trainer in Remo health rhythms? So I've had to go and venture into that path. And so just a lot of things. It's like, yeah, okay, let's get this going, and trying to get people pulled in. It's getting more contacts in business too.
Right. Right. So more contacts leads to more opportunities, but then you're only one person. So the board's saying, how do we have more of you so that you can level up on the business and train more of those musicians to do exactly what you've been able to do? Your board's thinking about it the right way. I like the way the board's thinking.
My president, Luke Palmer, he said to me, he goes, you should be, someday you'll be the CEO, and we'll be able to replicate this across the nation. So he has the same and holds the same vision that I do.
Right, right. Well, that is awesome. Well, so you shared a little bit about that long-term vision. So right now you're in the North Texas area, but there is a long-term vision to replicate this across the country and really make a big impact. How do you see the roadmap of that happening, and then how your role transitions from you're probably there in Salina, probably hitting the drums. And that's probably what you love to do, but you might not be able to do that across the nation. So how do you see that roadmap kind of transitioning your role?
Well, it just kind of come forward as a bigger vision. It was probably, I think it was last year, the year before last, it came forward as a bigger vision. The initial strategy and vision was to actually create a neurologic music therapy training center in Tarrant County, here in Fort Worth, brick and mortar. And there's only 2 of them that I know that are in the United States. One's down in Houston. I don't know if it's the true, the one that was created by Dr. He started it up in excuse me, not in Canada. It was in Sweden. Then he brought it over in Colorado. So there's only one institute, but I would like to be able to replicate what they're doing. And there's a lot of music therapists here in Texas, quite a few. It's wonderful. It's so healing.
So I never even thought about that as certainly musician, as a profession, but musical or musician therapist. Never thought that was a profession per se, but how does one go about becoming a therapist using music?
Oh, there's quite a gauntlet you got to go through. Again, I'm not an NMT, so I do recreational music therapy.
Okay.
Evidence-based protocol. Most of the people that I know that are NMTs, they go to school. It's a 2-year program, and then they have to go off and get accredited with another place, and then they have to go through and do so many hours of practice with other people, and then they get some level of certification, an NMT certification. And there's some other ones out there as well.
Awesome. And then they find organizations like you where they can make that difference as that therapist, as that musician therapist.
Absolutely. Awesome. But we keep our because drumming is so accessible. I mean, and music therapy, I mean, I'll give you an example. So we go to, one of our clients was Meadowbrook Memory Care before the COVID happened. And we would go in there, and most of the people there, they're in a totally different reality. But we would sing. We would start singing songs like Hello Dolly. I mean, I'd sing, and a bunch of other songs, playing drums while we're doing it.
Right.
And all of a sudden you'll start to see people change. It's really, the dynamic of the drumming, the endorphins that get created, the cortisol levels that go down. There's a lot of science. There's actually an immune response, positive immune response in the body. And it actually does something with neuroplasticity. It creates connections in your brain.
Right. Very interesting. Wow. Cool. Well, this has been fantastic. As you take this from your little stint, I'm sure it was a sprint in 28 days, to a national organization. I have no doubt you're going to do it, by the way. And that's going to be a heck of a ride. So I really look forward to just watching you do that. You're going to be in Salina, June 19th, 3 to 4.
Yes, sir.
How would other people get in contact with you if they wanted to bring you into their organization? And how would they do that? And what's the best way for them to contact you?
So we have a phone number. Let me just start with that. It is 682-730-6101. And we also have a website. It's rhythm4you.org, rhythm4you.org. And then we're also on Facebook. And you can get in touch with me through Facebook, or just leave a message at our website, and I respond very quickly.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic, Todd. What else would you like to leave my guest with? Kind of your parting words.
Everyone just have fun in their lives. Take the time to be able to be patient with yourself, be patient with others, and everything will just come together. It's simple. It's really simple. And just stay very calm in your life. Things will start to come to you. Put out the good energy and things will come to you.
Yes, absolutely. Great advice. Well, thank you again, Todd, for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you much.
It was a great pleasure today having Todd on the show. Todd is the executive director for Rhythm for Me, an organization that he founded after the calling brought him to realize his natural talents can help others with his musical abilities. His journey going through that entire process of realizing his vision and then making it a reality was really quite fascinating. He referenced the hero journey, which if you've never read more about what a hero's journey is, I thought his is a great example. As he went through that process and now is working on his organization and not in it, being mindful of the balance, or as he said, the imbalance is really key. And this is something I see a lot of business owners also fall in the trap of, is a lose focus on the imbalance and then reshifting their priorities so that they can continue to grow their business, therefore working on it and not in it. I thought the lessons that Todd shared today was spot on, regardless of whether you are working on a business or on a vision you have to help others. I hope you can join Todd and his group of drummers out at Salina on June 19th from 3 to 4. Sounds like it's going to be a fantastic event. My name is Steve Stump, and this is another episode of 100% on, not in, your business. I help business owners attract and retain motivated employees with fantastic health insurance benefits. When the business can provide health insurance, it can benefit the employee and you as the owner. I hope you found value in today's episode. I really look forward to next week's episode, and I hope you will tune in.